pending weather, NC State at North Carolina tomorrow. And they both have different things at stake, both schools. Let's start with North Carolina. By the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon here on The Drive. Graham Hill producing the show. We have a poll question out on our YouTube page, by the way. If you go to our YouTube page right now on the YouTube live stream, 99.9 The Fan, just look it up on YouTube. Again, just 99.9 The Fan. Check out our YouTube live stream. We have a poll out there. Who wins on Wednesday? UNC or NC State? Go vote. Go vote. And leave your thoughts in the comment section on the game tomorrow as well. We do want to hear from you because guess what? There are real things at stake for both of these teams tomorrow. Let's look at North Carolina first. Right now, based off the most recent bracket projections from Joe Lunardi of ESPN, as of this morning, as of today, so this is factoring in yesterday's games and everything, UNC's still on the outside looking in. They're one of the first four teams out. The teams right above them, of the first four out, they're the fourth of those four teams. Virginia Commonwealth, Georgia, SMU, North Carolina. Those are the four. VCU, Georgia, SMU, North Carolina. Those are the first four out in that order. The last team in, Wake Forest. Fresh off that 77-66 win over SMU this past Saturday. So what's at stake for North Carolina? Well, you can't lose. Because if you lose, you ain't making it. You ain't making it. And that'd be the second time you've missed the tournament in 3 years. So you can't afford to lose tomorrow. It's playoff mode for you. You can't. You have to win every game between now and the end of the year when you play Duke in the final regular season game where you face them at the Dean Dome. One thing that I said yesterday, we talked about this yesterday, Carolina has to go with their bigger lineup. They have to go with their bigger lineup. And Hubert Davis yesterday in his ACC conference call talked about was asked, would he like to maybe go with a bigger lineup?
Jay Witt out there, as I said before, defensively, it just really helps us. It's another rebounder. With his athleticism and being able to run the floor and not have to hit as many threes as he hit against Syracuse. But, I thought not just the threes that he hit, I just thought he made really fundamental, sound plays out there on the floor. And because of that, that really helped us in the game against Syracuse.
To me, for North Carolina to play at their best, based off what we've seen recently, we saw it a lot again in the game against Syracuse, and I think the best stretches of the game that they had, they played with their bigger lineup. It was R.J. Davis as the point guard, Ian Jackson as the 2, Drake Powell as the 3, then Jalen Withers at the 4, and then either Van Allen Lubin or Jalen Washington at the 5. That, to me, was their most effective lineup. We've seen them go 4 guards a bunch this year. And it's difficult. We even heard R.J. Davis talk about it after the win against Syracuse on Saturday. Yeah, maybe it is time to... He was asked, is it time to go with a bigger lineup? And he, to paraphrase here, essentially said, yeah. It's difficult for... He said specifically, it's difficult for Seth Trimble at 6'3" to guard the 4. Against someone that's 6'8" or 6'9". That's difficult ask for that guy. Jalen Withers can handle that. We saw these two teams earlier this year at the Lenovo Center play down to the final possession. And it was Jalen Washington with a big block at the end of the game. Big block and rebound. It was the Jalen Washington game. Dude played awesome. He was the MVP of that game.
Ian Jackson as well.
Ian Jackson, great point.
Big-time performance in a hostile environment on the road.
Great point. And Hubert Davis even talked about how much he has seen NC State evolve since their meeting earlier on this season.
The first thing that jumps out is, just defensively, their athleticism and their pressure. In our first matchup, our turnovers and our shot selection was not very good at all. especially in transition. They made us run our offense real far out. We've got to do a better job taking care of the basketball, got to do a better job at our shot selection, not letting their pressure defensively dictate and decide our pace and how efficient we are on the offensive end. But it's a team that can score at all three levels. And, you just know when you play NC State, whether it's in Raleigh or here in Chapel Hill, both teams are going to be playing at a high level, and it'll be a competitive, fun game to play in.
So here's something that North Carolina can do to combat some of the issues that they have with turnovers. Make sure you put the guys out there that are, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of the up-tempo, but make sure you put the guys out there that are going to be more safe with the ball. We have seen a lot this season from Elliot Cadeau. I mean, he's top 20 in the country in assists, at least going into Saturday. He was top 20 in the country in assists. But there's so many times I feel like there's just reckless turnovers. Just too many reckless turnovers. And as a coach, you have to balance how much you're willing to live with. When I coached lacrosse, I had some players that could make tremendous feeds, that could pass the ball as good as anybody, good vision and all those things. But sometimes they try and force and do too much, and they're costing just as much as they're giving. And sometimes you have to take the ball out. As dynamic as a playmaker as somebody can be, sometimes taking the ball out of their hands is actually the best thing for your team as a whole. And again, that's what we saw on Saturday. Elliot Cadeau played 18 minutes. He played the least out of the eight guys. This isn't some knock on Elliot Cadeau. That's not what the intent of this is. But you have to make sure if turnovers and things are costing you, what's the root of the problem? What's the root of the problem? There's been many times where we've seen the balls in Cadeau's hands, and I remember against Syracuse, he tried to throw this no-look bounce pass to Drake Powell because I guess he thought he was cutting, and it just threw the balls in the bleachers. Time and place. Time and place. Like, know he's cutting before he make those kinds of decisions. Sometimes just dribbling into pressure and then jumping up like, I'm going to throw the ball somewhere. Maybe putting the ball back in our last season when it was Cadeau and RJ Davis in the backcourt because of everything else that was around, it worked. Letting RJ Davis play off the ball. Maybe the best thing for this year is put the ball back in RJ Davis's hand. At least for right now. See how it works. But again, there's the other side of this one. There's the NC State side of these things. To me, I still think they lean on the young guys. The fact that Paul McNeil only played 1 minute in their game against Boston College against me blew my mind. Especially for a guy that had 12 points for you off the bench in the previous game, then he gets 1 minute. Dennis Parker Jr., who's still one of your young guys that I want to see play more, didn't play in the game against Louisville, then gets 21 minutes against Boston College for NC State and plays well.
That's 7 points.
7 points off the bench in 21 minutes.
Don't take that.
Yeah. But also, I think as well, because his frame, he's 6'6". He's kind of built similar to me when I've just seen the two. He's built similar to Drake Powell. Same length, similar type build. Built similar. Not saying it's exact same, but similar. And I think his length out there can be someone that can guard Drake Powell defensively. It's a size matchup thing. Hubert Davis talked about the change that he's seen from NC State since their first matchup. Well, Kevin Keats on Wolfpack Weekly yesterday, which you could have heard right here on 99.9 The Fan, also discussed how much he has seen North Carolina, seeing how much UNC has changed and evolved from the last time they played.
Yeah, I'm starting to dive into it. I watched a lot of it yesterday and today. They just did a good job. I thought we gave up too much transitions. I mean, they did a great job in transition, and they really hurt us on our ball screen defense. We got to do a way better job with that. And, man, Ian Jackson was really good. He made some shots, and I thought we did a good job in round one on Davis, which, it's always tough to do. But Ian Jackson really hurt us. I thought he did. And then last play of the game, Washington made a really good, we go for a steal. They dump it off to him. He made a great play.
Then Washington gets the block at the end of the game as well. But speaking of Ian Jackson, real quick, here's Kevin Keats talking about how much of a different team North Carolina is when Ian Jackson is making shots.
He's a really good player, great size, unbelievable in transition, and really shooting the ball well. I haven't had a chance to watch all that games. Don't know if he was in the slump, but I know here at Lenovo he made 5 threes. That's all I know, and he made them, and they were big threes, and it seemed like they were all from the same right corner,
We talked about it a lot yesterday. Go check out the video on our YouTube page about when Ian Jackson plays well for North Carolina. When he's scoring double-digit points, it's a difference maker. 15 times this season, Ian Jackson has scored double-digit points for UNC. They are 10-5 in those games. And the 10 games that he has played where he's been at single digits, 4-6. Simply put, Ian Jackson has to be their number 2 scorer for North Carolina. Has to be one of their top 2 scorers. But I think I think NC State does have some size that can maybe combat that, to be a physical challenge with Dontrez Styles when you play Dennis Parker Jr. Play the younger guys for NC State. And play spoiler if you're them. Hey, we're not going anywhere. Make sure that they're sitting on the couch with you.